going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. So in this video, I'm just doing a commentary on the Grasp of Avarice dungeon. I solo flawlessed it on a Warlock. So yeah, I'm just going to go over each encounter and just give some tips and tricks. I'm not going to go in depth on the mechanics because I do assume that if you're attempting a solo flawless, that you at least know the mechanics. So check out other videos for that. But this one is pretty basic. You just collect the Burden by Riches, and then you just stand by the crystal and deposit them. That's really all there is to it. And then the bosses all have a different amount that you have to deposit. So Trinity Ghoul is excellent here for quickly taking out the ads. Sunbracers would also be good. But yeah, you can see Trinity Ghoul is pretty much the best thing to use as long as you have the Catalyst. So that would be my recommendation. But anything that's just really good at group ad clear. So I get about 20 or so and I deposit them, and then you leave and then more spawn in. So this is kind of the quickest way to do it. You just oh yeah, and that's the other speed thing. So if you have lots of Burden by Riches, like 20 or more, it deposits like 5 at a time. And then you could see it was depositing 3 at a time when you're like 20 to 10, and then it deposits 2 at a time from 10 down to 0. So that's good to know. Basically, the more that you collect, the quicker you'll be able to get through it. So an Eager Edge Sword is nice to skip past this part, but you can also just have a sniper on to take out that Shrieker. I really recommend an Eager Edge Sword for getting around here quickly, and then Trinity Ghoul, obviously, and a sniper for the Shrieker in the one little jumping puzzle area. And then Icarus Dash is also really nice just for getting around quickly. So you can see with like 100 damage resistance and stuff, you can easily get by the ads without dying. But that's more just a time save thing. If you do just want to take it slow and steady, feel free to do that. And then go with the jump that you're most comfortable with. Like Strafe Glide here is really good for when you fall. But again, between Icarus Dash and a sword, it's not bad. And then for jumping up here, it's also very handy. So you can see I bonked my head, where with Strafe Glide, I'd be able to like go around. So I just kind of use a sword. You can see you have a second before that falls. So that wasn't that clean, but you can still get it done. But yeah, I would just recommend Strafe Glide on a Warlock for that part in particular. So this whole opening area is just like a bunch of jumping puzzles, and just watch out for the traps. So basically just follow the route I have. So there's a trap to my left right there. And then I skip all these ads. But in those rooms, there are some traps as well. So you can Eager Edge like this to get over. But if you're not confident in that, you're going to have to go into the rooms and activate the door switches. And when you're in there, just watch out for the traps. But I just skipped to the last one and it spawns in a Shrieker. So that is why I have my sniper rifle on. And then again, I'm just going to make this jump. Drift over to here. And yeah, again, we're just skipping a bunch of ads. Actually, I kill him. So I've got Karnstein armlets on. They're really nice because it gives you 10 seconds of restoration for a melee kill. And finishers also proc restoration. So that part's a little sketchy because I run low mobility, but I'm still able to eager skate over. But again, just take your time if you're not comfortable with any of that. And then this is just doing the rooms in order. So like you start with 1, then I think you go to 3. That little console there tells you kind of which ones to go to. There is a secret chest here as well, but if you're on a solo flawless run, I don't really recommend grabbing that chest. And then those platforms on the outside, they will fall. So if you jump on that, make sure you jump off right away. So here I am taking out some ads. But yeah, Karnstein's really nice because you can proc Resto. So it allows you to not have to run a healing grenade, which is really nice because Revitalizing Blast is on the artifact this season. So it's nice to have a regular grenade for, well, for ad clear and whatever else, but then also on your boss fight. What else? Oh yeah, and then the other thing with Karnstein's is you can melee while you hold the little Scorch Cannon, and that will proc Resto, so that's really nice on both bosses, because ideally you don't have to put down the Scorch Cannon, so you can just keep holding the cannon, and then you can get restoration just by causing a melee. So Carnosine Armlets is really, really, really good for this dungeon in my opinion. So that's what I recommend for getting 2 damage. And then I recommend having like a swap loadout for dealing damage. So I'm holding, or I've got charged up on my chest piece so that I can hold like 5 stacks of armor charge. And that is because I use rockets and it will use up a charge when I have Argent Ordnance from the artifact. But if you don't want that extra damage and you want to be guaranteed to have armor charge throughout the whole DPS phase, then don't run Argent and just run triple Solar Surge for your DPS loadout. And then another thing, have a hot swap. So I swap my chest piece. That's because it's got 3 times solar reserves, which holds 10 Dragon's Breath rockets. 3. If you only do 2 solar surges, you'll get 9 rockets. So I highly suggest that. So Dragon's Breath is really excellent here because you're going to at least 2 phase. You're not going to 1 phase this boss. And sometimes ammo, heavy ammo, can be an issue on this boss in particular, I find. I soloed this on every character. And then this was my solo flawless run. I didn't actually even choose the loadout I liked best. I kind of chose Warlock just because I figured I should do a Warlock run, because at the time I hadn't done any Warlock runs. You'll have seen that I did Pit of Heresy solo flawless, but I actually did that after the fact. So this was the only dungeon this season that I had done with Warlock, so that's why I chose it. But it is really good because you have Well of Radiance, which is excellent for both boss fights, just for survivability. So here the Scorch Cannon will despawn if I don't pick it up in time. And stupidly, I was messing around and I didn't pick it up. So that's going to respawn the Fallen guy. And that's dangerous because you're on a timer here. You can go deposit the Burden of Riches. So yeah, I don't know what the hell I was doing. Normally I juggle it. I just had a lapse. I just wasn't thinking. So with 14 Burden of Riches, I could deposit now just to not die to the burden. But I know, so yeah, this is quite sloppy. But I know I have time to get a Scorch Cannon with my Fusion Grenade. And then this timer will reset as soon as I get an ad down. So that's where it's nice to keep those hive up. So you could see my timer was low, but I killed one of the hive outside. So I recommend leaving them up. And then you can cast a well, because every time you hit multiple of 10, you'll get a new Well of Radiance and all your other abilities. So see, I hit 20 Burden of Riches, and now it replenished my super and all my abilities. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm leaving the Scorch Cannon on the ground way too long. Like, that is terrible. You should take out a few ads and then pick up the Scorch Cannon. So then I'm taking out these hive just for DPS so that they're not shooting at me while I'm trying to do my DPS rotation. But you only need 25 Burden of Riches on this guy. And on other characters, it's better to not have more than 26, because you don't want extra, because sometimes you might move to do damage. On the Well of Radiance, I stay standing right by the crystal. But in other cases, you might want to move. So if you have more burdens, you're going to have to get rid of them during DPS. So now, while that's depleting, I swap to Apotheosis Veil and my armor charges. I throw a grenade. I freaking miss. Jesus, is bad. So that was the worst rocket that I could have missed, because I'm not getting the Scorch and the auto reload now, because Apotheosis Veil, you can like whip grenades, so it's gonna deal a whole bunch of Scorch and Ignitions to the boss, and then that makes Dragon's Breath reload quicker. So I messed up there huge by missing that first one. And even with that screw up, I still did over half damage. And that was like a pretty bad damage phase. And you could see my armor charges lasted like just long enough for the DPS phase. And that was with Argent Ordnance. So I'm getting a free 15% from Argent there. As well, Apotheosis Veil is nice because it will help you reload quicker, obviously, but also the fusion grenades with Touch of Flame do a lot of damage, and we're using Revitalizing Blast, so it's giving a 15% weaken to the Ogre. And then on top of that, you don't have to throw all your grenades, so then when that Revitalizing Blast wears off, geez, this was just ugly. I have a guide on the channel, and I do this a lot smoother on my other character runs. But this solo flawless, and sometimes that happens, like your solo flawless sometimes doesn't go to plan. Like I get through the collection phase here much smoother in all 3 of my other runs where I was just doing all my testing and stuff. Like I said, I've got the Scorch Cannon back there. So now this time I actually remember to juggle it. So yeah, this was pretty ugly. But yeah, always cast your Well of Radiance before you pick up 10 burdens. Because like I said, that'll give it to you back, and then you have it for the next rotation. And then you should be coming out of here with at least 12. But that's just so you don't have to pick up so many in the next room. And then I leave those guys so that I can refresh the timer there. See, I was at like, I'm not even sure, like 11-ish seconds or something. And then that's another thing I don't like with the Scorch Cannon, is it's hard to ADS and like hit your shot. I actually did hit it, but it was like a very awkward angle. So again, you're just working against the timer, but if you were running low, you can just head to the crystal and deposit it if you have to, so that you don't die to Burden of Riches. But ideally, you're just going to collect 25 all at once, and then you only have to go to the crystal once. That way, the hive outside and the ogre aren't like bearing down on you. Freaking no melee range. It's annoying. They were just backpedaling me. So again, I collect 26. Now I'm going to clean up these ads before DPS. And then here, again, it's really nice because I can just proc Restoration, and it procs Cure ×3 as well, so it heals you when you get that melee kill. So that's really nice. I drop the Rift just to be safe because I know I'm going to get it back anyways with Apotheosis Veil. Clean all them up, get close, swap to my DPS loadout. And here's the thing. So he sometimes delays a really long time. So this time he was like getting to DPS right away, but sometimes he has a big long delay, which is quite annoying. And then also he'll rush you, so watch out if you're using Dragon's Breath, because it's basically a lasting impression rocket, so it can mess you up. But yeah, sometimes he delays heavily for some reason on DPS, and it was happening to me lots before this run. Another nice thing with Well, see, I had 5 seconds on my Well when he died. So if you cast Well kind of right when the damage phase starts, it is a 30-second damage phase. So you can keep an eye on your Well timer, and that tells you how much time you have in your DPS phase. So on the other characters, you kind of just have to wing it, like on Hunter and Titan. And on Titan, Lament is really nice with like Bonk Hammer. Sleeper Simulant's okay with Hunter with Celestial Nighthawk. Again, I kind of cover that in my actual guide. This is more just a commentary run on this run. But yeah, you can use whatever character you're most comfortable with. But Well of Radiance with Dragon's Breath, Argent Ordnance, Solo Operative, Revitalizing Blast, you got 15% from Solo Operative, 15% weaken from Revitalizing Blast, 15% more to rocket damage with Argent Ordnance, 22% with Triple Solar Surge. So yeah, you saw how bad my first DPS phase was, and all in all, that was just a pretty sloppy run. But even with sloppy DPS phases, I was able to 2-phase. So if you don't have a Cartesian, Eremite with Controlled Burst is good. Royal Executioner from the season that launched with Lightfall is really good. You can get Envious Assassin and Controlled Burst, Reservoir Burst, so that's 25% more damage on a harder hitting fusion than Cartesian. I just like Cartesian with Vorpal because it's very consistent. So with a Reservoir Burst, once you are below 7 in the mag, you're going to be doing just normal damage. So here you can just follow the route on screen. This is the route that I always go with. Just go with whatever you're most comfortable with, and this part shouldn't be an issue at all. But yeah, so for the fusion rifle, I definitely just recommend any solar fusion because it matches your surge, and we're treating, what's it called? Dragon's Breath, kind of like Anarchy. Like you stick it, and then you deal damage with either your abilities or your fusion, and then you just listen for the sound. So that's why solar fusion is so good, because you're actually doing a ton of solar fusion shots during DPS, so you want to match your surges. That's why I don't recommend the strand fusion Slice or a chill clip fusion Riptide, because Yes, there is Torch on the artifact mod, but that's only a 5% boost. So you're getting 5% more damage. Actually, you're not even, because when you're in a Well of Radiance, that doesn't actually count as radiant. It's a weird interaction. But you can see it on like golden guns. It will override your golden gun and not give you the bonus damage if you shoot it from a Well of Radiance. So yeah, you're not even going to benefit from Torch. So definitely go with a Solar Fusion to match. I always want to call it Hothead because it looks like Hothead, but Dragon's Breath. So here, I'm back to Karnstein's, and I actually have Dawnblade on because Dawnblade is good for ad clear, obviously. And then you can actually shoot that, and if you're fast, you're able to rotate the cannon while holding the trigger button, and you'll line it up before it explodes, and then you can just shoot it when you're lined up. So this part is very boring. It's literally just do ad clear on the servitors and whatnot, or you have to kill all the ads. Eventually it spawns in more ads in the captain, and then once you deposit, I think it's 20 for this one, then you will be able to damage the servitor, and then you just line them up. So again, Trinity Ghoul is god tier here because the ads are all kind of grouped up, and you can just literally like hip fire it like that, and they just come out. Give myself restoration. Yeah, so again, Karnstein's very, very nice here. And yeah, sometimes you're just kind of waiting for the ads and waiting for them to group up. Back in the day, the captain was a little bit threatening, so was that Vandal that shoots the shoots the Scorch Cannon. But now it's really not a big deal, so I had collected 21 Burden there, and then I picked another one up there. But you'll see when I'm at about 2, he should drop his shield. I get a little overzealous. Now it drops. I've got Reconstruction, Recombination on the Heritage. Any shotgun will do here. It's good for just taking them out quickly. And then what you want to do is always send them out at the front of this little pod, because then they roll down the hill and they roll right to where they need to be, as you can see. And then the cannons are always lined up to shoot at the middle, as long as you haven't come from that side. So I came from the right side, so those other cannons won't be lined up properly now, but any that I haven't touched are always lined up toward the middle. So you just shoot it toward the middle, and then Icarus Dash is really nice there, as you can see, for like moving quickly. Oops. So I'm just going to speed this up because this is like one of the most boring encounters in all of the dungeons, in my opinion. It's kind of what ruins Grasp of Avarice for me, because this is just such a snooze fest, such a bore. It's not difficult, it's just boring. So again, collect your 20 Burden, get your shotgun ready, bang. If you hit your crit, which I didn't last time, then it'll be a one-shot. These things move weirdly sometimes, but as you can see, again, if I push it out the front of that pod, then there's some stairs, and it lines up perfectly, because sometimes they don't line up where you want them to go. So now I'm just looking for where the next thing was. The next servitor. I shoot myself over, and yep, there it is. So yeah, you can do some nice movement tech. You can use an Eager Edge Sword to do that, and then you can Icarus Dash, but I just choose to Icarus Dash from my super, and then we're going to clear some ads. So again, Dawnblade is really nice here, and on other characters, just use whatever slang loadout you want. I definitely recommend like a Restoration Grenade. The only reason I don't have one on is because I'm running Karnstein, so I can just get it from that. And definitely Trinity Ghoul if you have it, but really anything that can like take out ads quickly. Wither Horde would be decent, like Wither Horde, and then some type of primary that can take out ads fast. Whatever you want to use. So again, deposit our 20 Burden, pop them in the crit. Unfortunately, some other ads spawned, and see, I picked up a Burden there. You're able to just deposit the Burden after the fact as well. But be cognizant of the fact that if you pick up a Burden, you have to get it off you. Don't try to take it to the next area, just get rid of it. So then on the last one, they always spawn at one of the bottom ones. So either this side or the other side. Every time. The last one will always be on one of these two bottom ones. So again, we just slay out here with our bow. something about 4, because the beginning of Ghosts of the Deep I find is too long because it's 4 symbols that you have to dunk or whatever. It should be 3. Like Pit of Heresy's 3 symbols, and that's fine because it's the wizard and the shrieker and the knight. But even still, it's just 3 just seems right. Having to do things 4 times is just kind of boring in my opinion. So yeah, I really hate this encounter. Here we can see the servitor being all goofy. That happens sometimes. Just have to deal with it in just Bungie physics. So again, the cannon was not set up properly because I used it off the start to get going. So I make sure I rotate it. Do that, launch myself to the middle. Again, I could like super over there or sword skate, whatever I want to do. But it is good to take the cannon with you, the Scorch Cannon, because then you can just shoot it, where if you don't, you're going to have to kill a Vandal that's over there. So then for the boss phase, it's either 50 or 60 burdens. I can't remember off the top of my head. So I'm just checking my loadouts to make sure they're all good. And then I swap to my reserve chest piece. So here, this is the biggest tip of the whole boss fight, is use your super to take out this Vandal. And so again, I get my grenade off first because I have Apotheosis Veil on. And then yeah, I'm just spamming my abilities. You don't want to throw your, or shoot a rocket because it can do self-damage and you might die. And then I don't pick up those burdens that he drops because a lot of time they fall into the water. And if you can't get 10, it's just not worth it at all, in my opinion. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm waiting for my armor charge to tick down. See, I have time dilation on my DPS loadout. So, what happens is if I were to swap to my Karnstein build right now and get an armor charge, it's still going to be ticking down. It's not going to bank until it's completely depleted. So now that I'm at like 2 seconds, now I can kind of move over and start working on getting armor charge. Can't remember exactly what I had on for getting armor charge. Clearly it's not kinetic siphon. Oh, it must be kinetic siphon. So I do want to get a few kinetic kills just to get armor charge. And I do that kind of earlier than later, just so that I like don't mess it up or forget. And then this part, yeah, so that's what I'm doing off the start here. You can see I have Firefly on this, and it took out a whole bunch of ads, but it did still proc an orb. So yeah, I'm using Kinetic Siphon just to get my armor charges up, because yes, I could use my abilities and whatever else, but you need 5 armor charges because they will deplete thanks to Argent Ordnance, like I talked about. So now that I have those, I'm just kind of cleaning up the battlefield, and then we start shooting the burdens down or whatever. So you should always get at least 10, but if they drop well, you'll get 20. So right there, I was able to get 20. So you do have some time to get 20, but it can be tight because sometimes these burdens just like fall weird. This is a pretty good drop. They're falling on my head. They're not too bad to pick up. And then these ones are all pretty grouped up. So I should get 40 here. Yep, I do. Here I'm going to get a melee kill to get my resto going just to be safe. And then we're going to get another one. And then I usually recommend trying to clean up the battlefield right before DPS starts as well. So yeah, it's 60. So I'm going for more here. So I did leave a couple at the back. Will I get them? Yep, got them. So now I'm just taking those ads out so that I'm not getting hit by them during DPS. You're in a well, so it's not so much for survivability. It's more just for flinch. All those little arc things shooting at you. Here, I'm going to go back there for a second. So what I was talking about, how they deposit quicker the more you have. So I have 60 here, and boom, I have 50. Then it's depositing 5 at a time until 30. And then it's doing 4 at a time. And then it's doing 3 at a time. And then it's going to be 2 from 10 on down. So I've got 20 seconds here. So here's where I'm just going to go and clean up all these ads. because I don't want them shooting me while I'm doing DPS. And I'm hanging on to the Scorch Cannon this whole time, because when it despawns, it'll spawn a Vandal just like it does in that Ogre fight. So unfortunately there's some other ads over there, but I'm not going to have enough time because I'll die to the burden if I don't get it right away. So I throw my grenade because I'm going to get one right back. And then as soon as DPS starts, I'm shooting a rocket. And you can see how quickly my Dragon's Breath refills off the rip there because of all the grenades I was throwing. So then I throw out a melee for Revitalizing Blast, and there is my last grenade. And it might help to like turn your game music down or something, because then you could hear the Dragon's Breath reload. So as you can see, that was a pretty good damage phase, and he's still just above half. So it's a pretty tough 2-phase with this strat. But what I like about this strat a lot is, again, Dragon's Breath is just so good on ammo. Look, I'm at 5 rockets still, so I only burned 5 rockets in that whole damage phase. So that's where it's so nice, because again, this boss fight as well, it can be tough to get ammo. And then here's like the next big tip for this boss fight, is I'm gonna get 10 burdens so that I can get my there, I just picked up all my ammo and I'm like refreshed again, and I could throw on my reserve thing to get which I might do here. Oh no, I'm swapping a DPS, and again, that is because I'm gonna dunk these 10 riches. But what sucks is I can't count apparently, so then I kind of forget how many I just dunked. So the priority target is that shank, and then after that you want to deal with this guy. So I put a rocket into him, hopefully that kills him. My well's got 5 seconds. Yeah, it kills him. That is textbook. And then I do pick up these burden, but unfortunately I missed 2, and now I'm not going to get my well back. So I wanted to pick up all 10. I picked them up because they won't fall in the water, but I wanted to get 10 there so that I have all my abilities refreshed, but it's fine. So now I've deposited 20, so I only need 40, and I think I might mess it up here. So now I'm swapping back to this loadout, and then I start collecting, but what I haven't done yet is I haven't gotten my 5 armor charges. So I think that grenade, I think I might have firepower on too. Yep. So I made 1 armor charge with that grenade. Might make another one there unless the cooldown was on. So I've got 20 and 2 armor charges. So now I'm just going through and I'm just collecting all my burdens. So right now I'd be at 40 total because I deposited 10 off the rip. But yeah, I think I screwed this up and I had forgotten how many I had. Which means I'm not ready when DPS starts. Or maybe not. I'm not sure. So this time I have 44. So like I said, this will matter if you're doing DPS not from the middle, which I suggest you don't do DPS from the middle if you're on other characters. Yeah, I had forgot about that first 10, or else I forgot about the 10 from the Vandal. One of the two. So here I get 50. So like I said, it delays the start of my DPS phase, which is a big mistake on my part. You want to be fully ready for when DPS starts, because like I said, I had a very good first damage phase, and you could see... So yeah, DPS is starting now, so I'm behind the 8 ball. I'm like, oh crap. Swap. So I don't get that initial grenade out. And then I think I missed my rocket there as well. Because normally I throw a grenade before casting well. Yeah, he TPs away. And again, the first rocket is the worst one to miss. Because that's what like refills. Because you have the Apotheosis Veil going and that's what's going to refill. And I didn't get all my armor charge. So you can see I'm out of armor charge now. So I have no Solar Surge, no Argent Ordnance. Because I wasn't thinking. I was just concerned with getting my Burden of Riches. So you can see how poor the DPS was on that one. The first one was about 50% damage, and that one was like just over 25, maybe 30% damage. The good thing is I'm out of armor charge, so I'm able to swap off it real quick. I don't have to wait for it to tick down. And I've still actually got the Scorch Cannon, so it's not going to spawn one of those Vandal guys. But yeah, so that was just bad planning. I didn't have my armor charges up. I collected 10 more burdens than I was supposed to, so I wasn't perfectly ready for DPS. But what's good about not being perfect is it's a learning opportunity for you. You can see what not to do, and I also showed you in the first phase what to do. So yeah, now I've got my 10. I swapped to DPS so that I can take out the shank. The boss is an asshole and stomps me, so it actually made me kind of low health. So I cast my well just to survive. So it wasn't perfect, but we're getting there. And then I don't know where the hell that shank went. And then this guy rushes me, which is really dangerous because Dragon's Breath can still do a lot of damage to you even if you're in your well. So I decided to just dip out. I got my Scorch Cannon. We've got ammo on the ground. I'm going to swap back to... Oh, there I swapped to my reserve chest piece. But unfortunately, I don't have Scavenger on this loadout. But I do on the Karnstein loadout. So yeah, you definitely want Scavenger. Regardless, I have 8 rockets to deal with. So we're laughing. So I'm going to take out these guys. Again, I should be killing them with my hand cannon so that I can get armor charge. So there, I think I might get a kinetic siphon orb. No, I don't. Oh yeah, I did. And I got the firepower orb on my gloves for getting a grenade kill. So now we just rinse, repeat, and we start picking up all these things. Again, that is why I like to get my 5 armor charge like I did in the very first phase. I like to get it right off the bat so that I'm not thinking about it as I'm trying to collect all these. So I only got 18 there, so that's not ideal. And I've only got 2 shots left, so I'm going to have to get a new Scorch Cannon. There, I make another orb. I refresh the timer on Burden of Riches. Oh yeah, and those things close after when it's the most recent one you've shot. So that one I just shot, I'm not going to be able to shoot it again until I shoot a different one. You probably know that, but it's just a little thing. So there goes my orb. It fell down, which was unfortunate, but that kind of stuff happens sometimes. So here we're going to use our last thing, but then I mess up because I didn't hold it long enough because I wanted to kill that guy. So now I'm going to have to deposit my things because I'm not going to be able to kill that Vandal in time. So I've got my armor charge this time. Or maybe I do kill him in time? It's going to be tight here. Yeah, no, I just head to the middle. I say screw it. So this, yeah, that was getting a little dangerous. So I had 54 there. And then I swapped to DPS because I thought I had collected 10 off the bat, which actually I think I did because I took out... Yeah, I did. So I swapped nice and early for DPS that time. So I actually had 64. My mistake. So this time I don't miss that initial rocket, and look how much quicker Dragon's Breath reloaded. So we get a really nice damage phase there. He's not blinking or nothing because Dragon's Breath holds him in place. So yeah, not a perfect run, but hopefully it was helpful and it can help you get your own solo flawless. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, then a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and take care.